Welcome guys to an episode with the Doomed Hell. I am really excited to announce another great year for you guys because it's going to be another year full of gaming deals, gaming bundles, and most importantly, computer fun. The number one most important thing you guys should consider, as always, is the most fun out of your dollar and not the most gaming. But the really good news that is going to happen in 2024, or I mean, for some people this might be bad news, is that the Doomed Hell is back. This channel is going to get a full frontal revival. I'm going to start putting a lot more effort in my videos for a lot of good reasons, and we're going to be really delving into it today, just talking about all the aspects that you guys could be excited about, keeping you guys on your toes. So the really first thing is in the background. So I just recently graduated from a pretty tough program, and I just recently got into the job force, or I'm basically, I basically signed my employment papers at this point. So I am very close to the goal, and this doesn't give me as much time flexibility, but my stress levels are much lower, which means that my productivity can go way up. And I'm hoping to put a little bit of that productivity onto this channel for a couple of reasons. One of them is that it's just fun. Whenever I'm in a mood for hardware, well, I like to use it. But it's also because I'm going to start getting a little bit more budget to do the things I wanted to do in college and university. So in the back end, that is happening. On top of this, my editing skills have gotten up, and I finally have a bit of time to work on that stuff. So I will be working with new editing software, new hardware, hopefully, and overall my production pipeline will increase, which means that I will no longer be just working on basically like text videos, just as this one. This has always been like a temporary solution because I have a lot to talk about, but I don't have a lot of time to make it. And just working with OBS and, working on a screen, just like making a quick document has been pretty useful, because I was able to convey a lot of information that, usually I would just have to make like kind of like a podcast kind of video, which are kind of trash. But this is just a lot more of a laid back type approach, whereas the videos I'm going to be start making will actually demand footage and actual camera, and we're gonna have like B-rolls, and we're gonna have like actual video for you guys to watch. It's not just gonna be like plain text or static text. So the upload rate that I want to kind of hit is one video per month. This video doesn't count. I'm gonna try to make a video this month, and or sometimes it will be even less than that. But I have an asterisk here, and I'll explain in a sec. So I wanted to delve into some video topics I'm interested. So I will be making some yearly topics that I've talked about for years. For one, we're going to start talking about CPU bottlenecks once again in 2024, looking at some newer games and kind of what they will do. And this will likely just be footage from other channels, but also just footage from my own computers, because I have a couple of them at home here. So I could just run some games and kind of see what happens. Then in kind of like mid-February, I'm going to make a 3D printed G Pro mouse, so I might as well film the footage there and kind of show you guys how that works. Then also in February, kind of like mid to late February, we should have footage for an $100 budget computer build in 2024, and that will be kind of filmed in maybe mid-January or mid-February, but then I should be able to edit it all out within February. After that, we should have an Assetto Corsa gaming PC. So this will be kind of the first video where I'm gonna mix in real footage and gaming footage, and I'm going to try to do my best to be thorough and kind of explain what to do to build an ultimate Assetto Corsa gaming PC. I feel like a lot of people have been sleeping on these kinds of videos, not really explaining it, and some of the early videos are just not very good. They convey a message that is no longer relevant in 2024. Then during the and by the way, these asterisks I will explain in a sec here. Then I want to get into used GPUs projects. So I really like working on GPUs. I recently got a 50 or well, it was closer to $70 RX Vega. That was broken, unfortunately. It was 64 with the and it was a good version. It wasn't the gigabyte versions, which have a really bad memory. But I am in the process of fixing it. If that doesn't work, I'm willing to buy another one just for this video. Then I want to get into the $100 range. So there are some chads, like absolute giga chads, that are buying Radeon Instinct MI25 cards, which are basically Vega Frontier Edition cards. So they have 16 gigs of RAM or of VRAM, and they're just much better than the regular 64s. They almost competed with 2080 Ti's back then in certain gaming, situations. Then I am willing to get into AliExpress Radeon 7s, which are around the $300 range right now. Sometimes $350, sometimes $400, but really in the $300 range, you're getting an extremely good deal, because the Radeon 7, basically with a good overclock, if we're talking like 2000 megahertz, they compete with RTX 2080 Ti's. On top of that, I do want to get into 2080 Ti's because in some cases I've seen them be very cheap for AIO setups. So they will sell the card and an AIO, and because it's like not great for most people, they sell it at a significant discount. I want to also add here that I am considering either a 3090 or a 7800 XT Nitro card. So if I can find a nice deal on an RTX 3090, that is a great bargain, and I'll get into why that is for me. But for my daily driver, it's either a 3090 or a 7800 XT Nitro. That's really the deals I'm looking for. The 7800 XT is a little bit faster than a regular 3090, but the 3090s, again, like AIO deals are real now. AIO and also block, like water block deals. That's actually what I was talking about here, a water block deal, sorry, not an AIO. And but the 7800 XT Nitro, I get, it's a little bit more expensive, maybe like $200 more, but it's a quad stack card, which I think is really cool. And I get the warranty on top of that with the overclock. It's just a little better for me. And the reason is the reason why I want to get into these big cards is actually not because of gaming, but because I want to get into I personally do machine learning in the background, and I'm a data scientist in the background, so I want to get into an introduction to home built machine learning maxing. So maxing your productivity when doing machine learning and kind of setting that up as you go at home and showing off how that works. And this is a gaming perspective, right? Like you start with Windows. Well, how do you do that in Windows, and how does that work to make it very productive so that it's fast to get into your environment, your project environment, and then also fast to run your project, let's say, to get the best results. And then also maybe talk about some fail-safe areas, things that you could do to like kind of fix your programming issues or your project issues. I'm thinking specifically like when you have a neural network running, like theoretically it works pretty well, but then how to get that from a testing phase without going through that kind of headache. And I think a lot of people might know what I'm talking about, but if you don't know what I'm talking about, well, let's just say machine learning is not as straightforward as regular programming. Then after that, around March, April, I'm considering buying a new phone, and I want to get into hacker phone projects. These are going to be like, Android phones with like 16 gigs of RAM, or maybe I've thought about overclocking an old Samsung Note 21. That'd be kind of cool, or what they call the 21 Pro. No, it's not a Pro Max. It's the Ultra, and potentially an FE. I think the FEs have more RAM for the 21s. I don't remember. But that would be kind of nice. So that will be potentially videos I might make. Then there's this whole project I have in the background, which is a home server project. So this will be a project that includes a NAS. I will be building the NAS first, potentially an SSD adventure playlist. So that will be like me trying to set up SSDs and trying to get the best bang for buck for SSDs. Then when I do make my service server, I will probably get into Optane and try to figure out how that works, potentially make benchmarks, do stuff like that. And I'm personally getting into Optane because my server will be limited to Gen 3 PCIe. So for $100, getting like close to Gen 4 speeds on a Gen 3 board is kind of worth it. I know if I went to Gen 4, like if I got a slightly more expensive motherboard, I could get into Gen 4, and then then it's kind of pointless. But again, one Optane will allow me to kind of run the service board at its maximum while still having a lot of slots left, because I'm running on a Rampage 4 board. So that's kind of where my limitations are. It's a Gen 2 technically, but you know. Then I will be probably making some hard drive reviews. So on top of having SSD adventures, I want to get into Velociraptors. So they're 10,000 RPM SATA drives. And because I want to get a SAS controller, this might be worth it. They're like $15 a pop. You could buy like a 25 or 30 of them for close to $100. So that's actually kind of worth it for a lot of people, especially if you're running like multiple SAS controllers, whatever. Then of course, like for the SSD adventures, I want to get into cheapo like AliExpress 1TB SSDs, kind of check out how that works, and then compare it to my SD card chive, like a SD card archive. So I'm thinking of getting a couple SDs, and as well as SSDs, but probably SDs, because I'm really just looking for like 2 TB. And then just like kind of saving it all and then putting it in the back end, not really ever writing in on it again. So SD drives might be interesting. But of course, like I have to kind of check out the reliability of flash drives now, because SSDs will probably be more reliable, especially the new like 3D NAND stuff. But I don't know if they make archive drives for SSDs. So this is kind of the stuff I have to, figure out. But it's going to be part of the SSD Adventures playlist. And then very finally, and I'm hoping that I can get this done before 2025, but it is getting into Blu-ray archival drives. So, Blu-rays are much more reliable than SSDs, and even some archive drives, because they're not like, there's no magnetic portion. So, like for instance, if an EMP hit right now, my current archive drive could pop. I don't have a failsafe case in it, but yeah, with like Blu-ray, you could kind of just like put it all in a rack and not have to worry about it. And yeah, and I'm setting this up again for my home server project. So whatever goes through this is probably going to be because of my home server, so I can kind of explain my methodology, and that might help some of you guys doing it at home. Then finally, I kind of will look into networking bottleneck. So I want to run 10 gig LAN ports, but from between my NAS and my service server. But the problem is that really going to be like, do I really need 10 gig LAN ports? Maybe I could do 2.5 gigs and just kind of run more lines. So that will be definitely something I have to talk about. I can't see myself. Well, I did want to originally I wanted to run Thunderbolt, or potentially run just like USB, but it kind of defeats the purpose of running like SSDs and having really fast archival storage. And again, like that's kind of the point of the project, is to get something really cheap and then running really, really fast hard drives. So I'll be looking into that, and yeah, just you guys will be able to watch along the way. So on top of that, and this might be much later, is I'm going to be probably making some feature films on these two asterisks here. So the $100 gaming budget build, I will be overclocking it, or my cousin will be overclocking this one, and then my other cousin will be overclocking his Assetto Corsa gaming PC. And this will be different times at different stages of the year. So there will be some videos potentially included, but again, this is gonna be more like footage videos. So I don't know when I'll be able to upload it. Obviously, like uploading that kind of stuff is a little harder than just your regular videos. So that's something to consider. Then much later in the year, I'm hoping to get, and this will probably be like late this summer, or maybe, it might even be pushed out to 2025, because I don't really need it right now, but it'll be my mini PC project. So way back in the day, I had a Xbox Original project where I just gutted out an Xbox Original and I put it in a mini ITX, and I learned a lot from that. And I still have the PSU from the Xbox, And I also have, again, I'm trying to get an MI25 instant card, which is running mini DisplayPort. So I'm thinking that I could probably mix those two in together, potentially running a nice custom loop. There's a lot of cool stuff you could buy on AliExpress or eBay for that. And that might make a really cool project, because that would be a perfect Quake LAN machine. And that's really what I'm getting into. Like Quake and CS2, that's what I'm playing right now. So that would be pretty interesting, I think. And then finally, like to sprinkle on top of all that stuff, is test/experimental videos. So this would be like aesthetic videos, skit videos, and so on and so forth. Pretty much whatever I have time to do. But again, will I have that time? Well, I'm hoping so, but I don't know in the full length of it. And finally, the asterisks here. So I do want to make one video per month. As you can see, I don't have that many videos figured out fully. A lot of this stuff is just going to be me making a project. And if that project doesn't happen this year, it'll have to happen next year. I don't have a choice, such as the home server project. Like I want to do it, and I'll probably have the budget, but will I have the time? That's the real question for that one. Versus some of these other projects, like I just don't have a choice. So I might as well film the footage and then edit it later. So I will promise one video per month or less, but it might be either a lecture video, kind of like this, maybe a little bit more like a presentation. So I might do it in slides mode, or a full-fledged flow. So I'll try to kind of like balance that out. Promise you guys, maybe I'm thinking really like 6 months worth of content right now. But then I might have to stretch it for a whole year, or I might do 6 months worth of content and then edit it out for a whole year. And in the best case scenario, I might get 9 months of footage and video ideas, and then that will be a lot more contentful. And at the end of the day, the whole point that I'm really using any of my time to do this stuff is, at the end of the day, it's for you guys to be educated. This is kind of a way for me to reverberate whatever knowledge I come across. And usually what I figure out is because I wasn't able to find videos about it, or it wasn't very easy to find stuff. Sometimes I like to reverberate stuff that's kind of like obvious, but for some reason no computer guy has made a video about it, or it's been a very long time that they've made a video about it. Kind of like the computer peripherals video. Like I literally don't know one video that explains it as like concisely as I did. Which is really funny, because I literally just like made a docs and explained like basic stuff, like stuff I'm working on right now. So yeah, there's a lot to go through this year, and I'm really hoping to hit everything. But obviously, just stick to it. Look at your notifications, put your notifications bell, and whatever happens. And I'm really hoping that it goes well this year, because if it does go well this year, I will definitely keep doing it next year. That's pretty much it for this video, guys. Another 20-minute video, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. Have a good day.